Hi, how are you today, guys and gals? It's your boy Joe Star TCG, and today we're gonna try something new, right? So, I have a bunch of new players in the community, a bunch of new players playing Pokemon. So, the idea is to try to help the new players better understand something called sequences or something called better drawing. I don't know. Okay, sequencing is what it's called, right? So, the idea or the concept behind sequencing is doing as much as possible with concerns to thinning, filtering, setting, however you might do it, cards in your deck to allow you to get the best results possible. So what I have, I mean, you won't see my beautiful face, huh? I know. But what I have set up here is, let me see a board state of Zorak versus Dragapult. I just had the Dragapult card there, right? So basically what we're looking at is our hand. Well, basically we want to try to take the two prizes, right? So our hand is this right now. We don't need boss. What we need is a tool card called Binding Mochi. Now Binding Mochi is in the deck, right? And he has the hero's cape on him. So we could, if we fail to find it, we could still swing with the Zorak here. Because he has a hero's cape, we have 380 HP and the bench would be fine. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to go for game, right? So with these cards in hand here now, your options not super limited, but because you have a variety of things you can do, right? Looking at the discard pile, because let me say a knockout just occurred, right? Knockout just occurred, what have you, right? So these are the cards you're looking at in your discard pile here, right? You can see you have access to Fez. You don't have access to Cipher to set it, but you have access to Fez and one of your bosses here, right? So let's say it have two outs. It have a Fez on the bench or a Meowth on the bench. Now you're looking for either boss to kill it, or you're looking for Binding Mochi to get the damage on the bench Zora, like to attach the Binding Mochi here, because this have a tool attached already. You're only allowed to attach one tool per Pokemon unless stated otherwise. So you're looking to get the Binding Mochi to attach here, and from your hand you can see that you have access to energize it in this turn, right? So your turn now start, draw for two. One card, okay, Body Puffer. This is a dead card, not very necessary, right? So we have access to two trades, and then we have Night Stretcher, where we could use it to go into the discard pile to grab ourselves Serendipity, right? Because we're going for game now, we want to ensure that we have all our facilities about us to maximize the potential for this victory. And you have an energy in hand, so you'll attach the energy to this Zorak for turn. And you would also use End's PP up, allowing you to go into your discard pile, find yourself a dark energy, and attach it to one of your bench End's Pokemon, right? So you already have the energy requirement for the Zorak on the bench to knock out this Dragapult, providing you get Binding Mochi, because you have Pecharunt on board. And what Pecharunt does is it switches to the active spot a dark Pokemon other than itself, and it poisons the Pokemon upon switching, right? So with this hand here now, because we're looking for Binding Mochi, right? What we would do is we would use the Body Puffin just to, dispel the card. Let me look into the deck and see where it is. See, it was close to the top. Now, we didn't have this information prior. So now that we know, okay, it was closer to the top. Okay, it was closer to the top. We could have taken the chance, but now we're putting ourselves in a bad position because we don't have access to it anymore, right? So, because the outs in the deck are three outs, the boss to boss the bench Serendipity, the Binding Mochi to take the knockout on the active, and another boss, right? So we have these three options here. Oh wait, yeah, you need Black Belt. Black Belt is what I'm talking about, right? So Black Belt Mochi to knock out the active, or boss to knock out the bench Pokemon for game, right? So it have 4 things you need to get to your out. Now it depends on what you want to do. Shuffle up. It depends on what you want to do to maximize your odds best as possible, right? So because the deck is relatively small, and this is the hand, because you want to knock out, you would want to trade first, right? So you'd want to trade first and try to find either boss or binding mochi along with black belt to take the knockout. But let me say we're going for the binding mochi black belt knockout, right? Ideally, because you need to use a supporter, you wouldn't want to use these two supporters in hand. So you would hold on to those as long as possible. So we'll use the first trade on top, discard, draw 2. Alright, that is not the 2 cards we're looking for right here. So we have already exhausted any form of looking at the deck, adjusting, stuff like that, right? Now, in the event that I don't come to it, we have the other out. We use the Zorak, the bench Zorak, to trade again. Discarding the Ends Castle, because we already have one in play. We're going for game. Boy, alright. Blackwell binded Mochi. Oh my gosh, that was kind of cheeky. That worked out a little too smooth. But this is basically it. Ideally, you thin down, you see what you have in deck, what are your outs, and then you do what is correct sequencing to get to that out as best as you possibly can. So the trade, obviously, it guaranteed me these two. Well, it gave me these two because, like, you know, I shuffled it and put them together, whatever. But in the event that I got only the binding Mochi but didn't get the black belt, and the black belt was still in deck, right? We only have one more draw in order to find. It's gonna be this card and one of them. Right. So let me say the black belt's still in deck. We need to get it. There's the hand we're looking at here. We need to find that, right? So from this position, we want to thin out even more, because yes, probably the black belt could be on top, but we don't know. So the correct thing to do is to use the Ultra Ball to search the deck, take out another unnecessary card, because we only have one more draw, which is Feds, right? So we take out the Ends Zora, right? So looking at the deck, we have 1, 2, 3 outs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. So we have 3 outs and 10 cards. That gives you like a 33.3% chance to draw into what you need from the Pheasant Liberty, because that's your last form of draw, right? So the deck cut, we have the binding Mochi. We could slow it a little bit, you know, attach the binding Mochi just to show him, hey, danger on play. And then you use Pheasant Liberty to flip the script. Now we're looking for 1 of 2 outs, and it's a 32% chance for it to be here. Now this is the correct way that you would go about sequencing to optimize the end result, because you're taking out as much cards that you don't want to get better cards in the end, you know. So nice, that's 1 of the outs. 2, 3, we get both outs from that, because is basically when the deck is that small, you're literally providing yourself with the best possible chances to get the exact card you need. So with the Pheasant Liberty draw on the last one, we had 3 outs. We draw into 2 of the 3 outs, and although it's a 33.3% chance, it still gave us the out regardless, 1 of 2 ways. Yeah. Now Zorak is a good way, way to use the deck, I guess, because a good way to show sequencing, because Zorak is one of the best draw engines in the game, because it gets rid of dead cards that you don't want to see anymore, and it makes the deck smaller and smaller, which would optimize your end result with getting the exact cards you need. So from this example, hopefully you can see that, like, okay, so you utilize as much dead cards as possible, you maximize the possibility for getting what you need by using all the onboard resources depending on what your win con is. So let's say that I just needed to find binding Mochi to win. No, yeah, let's say the Dragapult had damage on him, and all I needed to find was binding Mochi to win. And my hand was previously the Harlequin, Baneri, Body Puffin, and the Lily. Now, from this position, go back everything and see. I think that's bam, 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 bam. I think this was in hand. Right, I'm using Night Stretcher. Right, so let's say he had previous damage on him, right? And right now, all I need to win right now is binding Mochi. You say you get hit with some chip damage or something. You know, just some small. Like a 20 damage or something. 30 damage. Yeah. All I need is binding mochi to it. So we energize. Here we have, you see PP up. We top deck this, right? So we energize the bent Zorak just to get the binding mochi. Then structure back the pheasant. So all we need right now is to get that one card, right? So what we would do from this position, looking at the board, seeing as the board full, we're unable to play the body puffin, and there's a dead card that we don't want to get. Well, there's a dead card we don't want to get back in hand. But because, looking at the deck, because it is this size, and we're not sure where the binding mochi is, we can't check to see where it is. We would have to go into the trade first, primarily because you want to get rid of this dead card or this dead card, because you don't want that back into the deck. Because if you don't get off these two trades where you're removing these dead cards, you would basically you might end up drawing back into it, which could weaken your end result to try to get the card you're looking for, right? So you use the first trade to draw 2. Okay, and then we have 2 more dead cards. So now that you take out one of the dead cards that you don't want, you could attach just here, you know, just use up some of the cards and basically hand dead from here. So now you would Lily, shuffle it back into the deck, right? Now we're looking at the deck number. Usually I may say, maybe I should Lily first. Maybe I should do something different. But looking at it from this perspective, right? You're able to get rid of a dead card, attach one card, and play a Lily. So that's 3 cards you use, and you still have access to 1 trade and 1 flexibility. So you're going to see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards after the Lily, and plus the initial 2 that give you more information to let you know. Alright, so now we're going to draw the 6 off the top. 3. See them 2 dead cards I talk about? 4, 5, 6, right? So we have 6 cards here now. We could utilize the Pokepad. So let's look into the deck and see. Binding motion quite to the bottom here. So we take out the Monkey Dory and we add the Monkey Dory to hand, right? So now the deck size is 4, 9 cards. We have access to 1 trade and we have access to pheasant dippet. 9 cards, we're seeing 5 of the 9 cards. 5 of 9, that's like a 50-something% chance, right? So then we use the second trade to discard this. Draw 2, 1, 2. Not ideal, but then we gain to Ultra Ball, right? So we utilize the Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards, and let's see if we can take out another dead card from the deck. Oh, this all right. I forgot to pull out this already. So we see that that's the position there. It have nothing else. The hand's small. We take out as much as we could. Now we use pheasant ability to draw 3. We end up with it. Unfortunate. But that's how it is go sometimes. I ain't gonna lie to you. So, now sure there's the next. Okay, no, it wasn't. But again, probably I could say, alright, I'll Lily first and then do it because I'm just looking for a tool. But whether the initial stages of it, however it operates, the main function is you need to get rid of as much dead cards as possible. Unfortunately, the bench was full, so we wasn't able to utilize the body puffin beforehand to get rid of that card and give us access to fence. So basically what I'm saying is the correct way of sequencing is always utilize as much as you could before to maximize your outs, because there was the next card after the black. Now that is unfortunate. I mean, you thin as much as you could and then there's the end result, you know? So the takeaway is for sequencing, because in the first example you see that we managed to get both of our outs with proper sequencing. And the second one, I felt like I should have Lilies first, but I didn't Lilies. It's all good. So yeah, primarily Zorak is a real good filter deck because it's just that good. But the bottom line is you always want to remove as much unusable cards from play, from your deck, from the game, so that when you gain cards from the deck, you gain as much useful cards as possible. coming from the deck, right? So Zora to pitch, trade. Bottom line is, we wasn't in any danger because the opponent had more prize cards and we could still just punch with this, they punch back, and then we would end up winning the long run, you know? So it wasn't like in any danger, but you just want to optimize that turn to see how best you could get to your end result of getting the binding motion to get the knockout. You understand? So, yeah. Now, normally I expect after you see you do the whole sequencing thing, you would end up saying like, alright, well, yeah, see how we get both of the outs. Well, sometimes you whiff, and that is just the luck of the draw. But in the first example, you can see the proper way of sequencing. Here are the dead cards, and utilize whatever resources you have first, as much as you could to thin. Take out the cards you don't need, you don't want, you don't require in your deck, and then you would have more cards that you need. Yeah. So this will be real, you know, obvious to experienced players, or maybe obvious to new players too. But I don't know, I feel like it's useful information to help everybody get on the same page with things to understanding the TCG better. So yeah, back to my face. So yeah, just with the example of seeing that it's possible on both ends to get the outs for getting the KO in the first one or within the KO. But again, that's kind of luck of the draw. Sometimes you would do as much as you could, but sometimes you still end up within. But the idea is that you maximize as much as possible before you decide to commit to your onboard draw. Because a lot of times your onboard draw, after you finish that, you don't really have much else. So once you can thin down your hand, you can utilize cards to discard, like Ultra Ball, stuff like that. And let me say you're gonna play a Lilies to really, you know, ensure that the hand is refreshed, because a lot of times Lilies is just draw you back the same cards, like we see in the example there. So in the event that you're able to break down the hand, play a Lilies, get a fresh 6, and then you start your trade game, even in the event that you get, let me say, an Ultra Ball after that, you're not gonna keep the Ultra Ball in hand and say, now keep the deck cards is ideally, because you want to remove as many dead cards as possible. Because if you draw into those cards, it's no use. You understand? So again, it's probably obvious to everybody, but I feel like when I learned about it, I was wow. So maybe it might help somebody learn about it. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, I guess, and peace till next time. Bye-bye.
Little Chad.